Welcome to another edition of Google Hangouts at Vanderbilt with the Office of Undergraduate Admissions and some of our current students. My name is Annalise Miyashiro, and I'm an admissions officer here at Vanderbilt. And I'm very excited to have with me four esteemed panelists of current Vanderbilt students to talk to you about student life and community at Vanderbilt. So remember, at the end of this, if you have any follow-up questions, we're happy to answer them. Just go to our website, admissions.vanderbilt.edu, click the Find Your Counselor section to talk to your admissions counselor, or contact a current student section where you can contact one of these lovely folks that you listen to here. So I'm going to kick it off and send it over to our students to let them introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Marcy Mary. I'm a junior here at Vanderbilt from Richmond, Virginia. I am an economics major, and I have a double minor in math and financial economics. And if I could describe the Vanderbilt community with one word, I would say warm, friendly. I know that's two. But one of my friends always talks about how when he was looking at Vanderbilt's campus, he went around and did the smile test and smiled at every person he walked by, and he said every single person smiled back. And I just think that really sums up how it feels to be on Vanderbilt campus in the story.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Samuel McDaniel. I'm a senior from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm studying human organizational development with a minor in corporate strategy. And if I had one word to describe Vanderbilt, I would say pride. While I was looking at different schools, it just seemed like there were students there and that they didn't really love their campus. But when I came to Vanderbilt, I thought people were getting paid because I saw all the students in Vanderbilt shirts, Vanderbilt stickers all over the laptops, on the cars, and we really have pride in the Commodore.
Hi everyone, my name is Rebecca Trong. I'm from Orlando, Florida. I'm in the College of Arts and Science, majoring in a self-designed interdisciplinary major titled Multicultural and Diversity Studies, and minoring in Peabody in Human Organizational Development. And so to describe Vanderbilt in one word, for me, I would say passionate. The people that you meet at Vanderbilt, including this panel of people, you'll see we're very passionate about not only Vanderbilt, but our interests and our passions inside the classroom and outside the classroom. Something that I love and you'll see as a common thread throughout a lot of Vanderbilt students is that they have some type of passion. There's always something more, not only their major and their academic studies, but something beyond that, and I love learning about that from all the people on campus, from the professors to your peers. It's a very passionate place.
Hey all, my name is Dan. I'm a junior here in the College of Arts and Science, double majoring in Economics and Communication Studies. I'm from Buffalo, New York. If I had to describe the Vanderbilt community in one word, I would say together. Something that I noticed when I came on a tour here was that whereas at a lot of schools during finals weeks and things like that, you see students all kind of studying in their own corners of the library. Here at Vanderbilt, you notice that people are all studying in groups of 2, 3, 4, sometimes even 5. These big kind of group projects and group working together things. I like to say that it's the type of deal where instead of everybody pushing each other out of the way to get to the top, everyone's kind of pulling each other along, trying to get everybody to succeed in their classes as well. But that also shows up, as Rebecca was talking about it, with our passions. Everyone here is very involved in things, but I know that my friends and I make an effort to go to each other's events as well. And that's something that you see across campus, and that students are always willing to go out and support each other and support the causes that other students are passionate about as well.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. So the first question has to do with what is the first year experience like? And I know, Dan, you wanted to talk about move-in, so why don't we start with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So everybody kind of has a different move-in experience, kind of how they're feeling mentally when they start to come to college. But I know me, I was that classic high school senior, just graduated, felt like I ruled the world, and I wanted to be away from my parents as soon as possible when I was coming to college, but I also didn't want to show them how nervous I was about coming. So it was kind of this awkward dynamic in the car on the way here. But when we pulled in, there's this thing that Vanderbilt does called Move Crew, where every year upperclassmen will wake up at 5 in the morning to come out and greet all the incoming freshmen. Every year we have about 400 to 500 students doing it who are willing to actually get up before the sun rises. We do treat them to Krispy Kreme donuts to brighten them a little bit, but they're able to come up and greet the incoming freshmen when they come to campus. You'll pull your car up, the car stops, immediately all the doors fly open, people grab your things, stop for a second to ask you where you live and what floor you're on, and they'll actually bring all your furniture and everything to your room with you and help you move in and make that process as expedited as possible. Something that's pretty cool about it is that it's not just students doing it. Actually, some of the faculty members will do it as well. This past year, Chancellor Zeppos ended up showing up. There's a picture floating around social media somewhere of him riding around on a cart that people are supposed to use for their furniture. We decided to have a little fun with it and greet the freshmen in that way as well. It's just an altogether great experience that really builds the community here and really helps you feel arms open, accepted into the Vanderbilt community from the second you set foot on campus.
Right. And to build off what Dan was saying, just about being accepted and welcome to the Vanderbilt community, one of my favorite things about Vanderbilt was the first year experience. I think that Vanderbilt really focuses on making sure that students transition really well from high school to college, and the first year Vanderbilt experience I feel like is the perfect in-between. We have the Commons, the first year living and learning community, which I'm sure you can learn so much about. I could talk about it forever, but one of my favorite things within the Commons is this program called ViewSept. You will have a faculty ViewSepter and a student ViewSepter and upperclassmen assigned to you in a group of 15, and the whole freshman class is divided into these groups. And your faculty ViewSepter and student ViewSepter will reach out to you during the summer, send you a letter and welcome you to Vanderbilt, and then on move-in day, like Dan was saying, they're running around greeting you as soon as you move in, so you immediately have 2 resources right off the bat to ask about the Vanderbilt community, to ask about anything and everything. And then beyond that, you meet once a week with the group, and you talk about things from dorm life to how to get involved to what are you doing this weekend to studying abroad. The possibilities are endless. I've been a ViewSepter for the past few years at Vanderbilt, and my partner was actually the dean of the Commons, so the dean of the first years. So they live on campus, and you meet with your group. So we met in his house every Tuesday. When I was a first year, my faculty ViewSepter was actually the chancellor. So it was the president of Vanderbilt. I was having dinner with him every Tuesday night, and I got to meet him as my first faculty interaction at Vanderbilt. And so that community aspect of making sure that you're having a great transition and there's always someone there. I just had lunch with a ViewSeptee a first year last night. So the relationships never end, and it's great that you can start right off the bat when you come to Vanderbilt's campus as a first year.
I think also the residential advising is really great. I know when I moved in, unfortunately, I didn't get to really participate in the whole move crew thing when I moved in. I'm actually on the Vanderbilt dance team, so we had to move in about 10 days early for our preseason camp. So that was a little scary because I was living in a house that fits about 100 students, but I was the only person in the house, just me and my RA. So that was a little scary, a little intimidating. It kind of felt like The Shining sometimes, being the only person in that big residence hall. But one day I came back from practice, and my resident advisor had slipped a note under my door that said, "Hi, I'm Bridget. I can't wait to get to meet you. Let's go out for coffee or something." And we did, and it was so nice to have that familiar face. You know, at least I knew the one other person that was in my residence hall. But what really impressed me was she didn't just do that because I was the only person living there. She didn't just do that because, you know, school hadn't started yet and she had some extra time. As the other 33 girls arrived on my hall, they also got notes, and she also met with them individually. So it's just they do a really good job reaching out and making sure every freshman is really comfortable in their new living environment, which is really nice.
And to build upon that, another initiative that the Commons does specifically to make all the freshmen comfortable in their new houses is they have a faculty head of house. So you have the dean who lives in a big house on Commons, but in all 10 of the separate houses, there's a family who live on the first floor. And one thing that I really appreciated about that was they weren't assigned to live there. There's a hard application process that everyone has to go through to be accepted into this program. So they really want to live there, and it's almost like they have 100 kids in addition to their own family. Depending on which house you live in, they have weekly meetings. Like I know Hank Ingram House, they have Hank Hangouts. I lived in Murray House. We had Murray Munchies, and their door was always open. You could come in, grab something to eat, talk to your faculty member about research that he does or sports or anything. I know our first year we had our former head coach, James Franklin. He came in and he spoke to the Murray House separately, and then also our head of house, his wife. I don't like chocolate, so she would make cookies, and of course she would make chocolate chip because that's the standard. Everyone likes chocolate chip. Well, I don't. And she found out that I didn't like them, and she made sugar cookies specifically for me. So it was really a family feel my first year living there.
Great, thank you. So how did you guys like living and currently living in a community with people from across the country and across the world?
So I can start. I actually grew up in Jamaica, so I was definitely looking for a diverse experience, and I got that right off the bat when I walked into my first year hall. So my hall consisted of people from all across the country and the world. I remember my roommate was from California, and I'm from Florida, so opposite sides of the U.S. first of all, and then across the hall was Alabama. Down the hall was Nebraska. I've never met someone from Nebraska before. Then there was New York, there was Africa, there was China, there was South Carolina. It was all across the board, and I had that just in one hallway. From first year, I lived in a Mayfield, which had, again, 10 of my best friends from first year, all from different parts of the country, all from different backgrounds. And then last year I lived in Warren and Moore College, so the college halls at Vanderbilt, which are residential colleges for upperclassmen. They're new, and so I got to live in this new living and learning environment where there's people from, again, all over, and there's a diverse group not only of backgrounds but of age groups. So it's a set number of sophomores, juniors, and seniors that all live in the same residential hall, which I loved, getting to experience all these 3 different types and having people interact with me because I had a really international and diverse background, and then also interacting with other people as well and telling them about my experiences and learning about theirs.
Yeah, I can pick up from there. One of the things that I was kind of uncertain about when I was coming down here for the first time was kind of the idea of being immersed in Southern culture. I'm from Buffalo, New York, and so pretty much the opposite of Southern culture is where I come from. And I never really kind of had experiences interacting with people from this part of the country before. So I came down here, I walk into my room on the first day, and my roommate ends up being from Memphis, Tennessee. He has this thick Southern accent, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is it, it's happening kind of thing. We ended up hitting it off right off the bat like that. We hung out for the entirety of orientation week and everything, and it was really cool kind of getting to see the different lifestyle that he had lived, kind of coming from a different part of the country. And since coming down here, I definitely feel like I've loosened up a little bit. I walk much slower now that I've come down south and everything like that. Sometimes I go back up north where I'm from, my friends will be walking with me, and they'll be 20 feet ahead of me, and I'll be like, whoa, guys, slow it down. My roommate from Memphis would never walk this fast. So it's kind of nice to be able to have come down here and really feel like I have picked things up from a culture that is different than where I'm from.
And I've heard you say y'all before too, right?
Yeah, that's my new favorite word, actually.
So I know you guys are involved in a lot of different things, so if you could just tell us some of the things that you're involved in and then elaborate on one of those things. Marcy, let's start with you.
Okay, so I am involved in the Vanderbilt dance team. It's basically like cheerleading. We have different color pom-poms. If you don't know the intricacies and the differences between the two. It's a really great organization to be a part of. It kind of straddles the line between a student organization and a sport. So it is super time consuming, but it's really rewarding, definitely a good thing that I love devoting my time to. We get to be on the field at every home football game, every home basketball game, travel to postseason play, travel to some away games. We danced in front of upwards of 97,000 people in Neyland Stadium at Tennessee, and then we silenced those 97,000 people when we won in the last minute, 16 seconds. So I'm a person with so much school spirit, and I'm a sports fanatic. So being able to be a part of the Southeastern Conference, so close to the action, but also be at an academic institution like Vanderbilt, I love it. It's awesome.
And I've heard you say y'all before too, right?
Yeah, that's my new favorite word, actually.
So if you could just tell us some of the things that you're involved in and then elaborate on one of those things.
Marcy, let's start with you.
Yeah, I'll pick up from here. Something that's really cool about Vanderbilt is there are definitely a lot of organizations. There are over 500 already here, but I'd really like to create a Scooby-Doo watching club or some other type of organization that doesn't exist. It's actually very easy to do something like that as well. Me personally, when I came here, I'm really involved in service. I love the idea of community service and kind of giving back. Vandy has over 70 service organizations already, but my friends and I are pretty goofy, and so we wanted to go ahead and create a service organization that was specifically themed around goofy service events. So we went ahead and started this organization called Project Naked, standing for New Acts of Kindness Every Day, going with the Goofy theme. And we were able to put on 2 large-scale fundraising events throughout the course of last year because administration was willing to listen to our ideas and give us the funding and the resources on campus to allow us to put those on, despite the fact that we were brand new here on campus. Anybody who wants to start an organization like that, all you guys have to do is grab 2 friends who have the same idea with you, grab a signature from a faculty member, and they just hand you $250 just like that to get that organization off the ground, and they allow you to get more and more resources as you guys become established on campus as well. It's been something that's been very eye-opening and very cool for us to be able to do here on campus, and it's just kind of one of those ways that administration here loves to empower the students to do things that are beyond what we were able to do in high school.
Awesome. Couple of orgs I'm part of. Rebecca Chong and I are co-chairs for Mosaic Weekend, which is a program that's run through the undergraduate admissions office here. I'm also a tour guide, like everyone else here. Also, I'm part of Greek Life. I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. So I guess I'll just talk a little bit about Greek Life. For my council in PHC, we have 7 out of the 9 Divine 9 organizations here. We also offer IFC and Panhel. So we have a wide arrangement of multicultural and I guess the more recognized fraternities that you see nationwide here at Vanderbilt. One great thing about our Greek system, though, is that we have 3 things that separate it from most schools. One is that it's non-residential, so only the exec members of the houses live. Well, the exec members of the fraternity or sororities live in the houses. Number 2, parties are open for everybody, so it's not like an exclusive thing. It's I wouldn't say a big part because, I mean, there's Nashville, everyone kind of has their own thing, but it's a great option for weekends to hang out on Greek Row. And then also residential parties. Also Rush, yeah. So then Rush, we have Spring Rush. So a lot of schools, I remember being in high school, my friends would all travel to the University of Georgia during the summers, and they'll go to, like, I guess, events thrown by fraternities. We don't have that here because when we come, we want our students to meet people without seeing Greek affiliations, and we want them to get, like, a sound foundation before they go into their Greek orgs. Because right when you join, it's hard not to be super Greek, like, oh, I love my fraternity, I love my sorority, but we always come back to reality, and I think that's partially because we have that foundation before we become Greek to it all. It's not a big deal at Vanderbilt. So yeah, and we also have a lot. Our Greek office is very active, so if you are interested, we hold events for Panhel, NPHC, and IFC where you could learn how to join those organizations.
Yeah, and building off of what Sam said, I've been involved in a few organizations, but one of my favorite, and I think is really cool, is it's called the Multicultural Leadership Council, and it is an umbrella organization that oversees all the cultural organizations on campus. So I was on the executive board for that organization, and the reason I got involved with it was because my RA was actually the president when I was a first year, and I was just fascinated by this organization because, as I mentioned, my major has to do with multiculturalism, and this organization had to do with multiculturalism, and I was like, this is perfect. I need to join this. This is meant for me. So I got involved with it. I actually had the opportunity to start a new program within it just as a sophomore, and because I talked to my first year RA about an issue I saw on campus, and I thought, why can't first years be involved in this organization? So I had that leadership ability from the beginning and those conversations with my RA, and then took them to the next step as a sophomore. And that organization now has a permanent first-year program, and it's cool to look back and say, oh, that was something that I talked about with my RA first year. And so the MLC, or the Multicultural Leadership Council, is a really cool organization. Within it, they have lots of cultural organizations. One is called SACE, which is the South Asian Cultural Exchange, and they put on this huge event each year called Diwali, and it's a dance showcase. So Diwali is the celebration of lights, but they have a dance showcase, and anyone can be involved. So I'm actually a dancer. I was last year and this year. So I get to do Indian dancing, so I tell people I'm part of an Indian dance crew, which is really cool to be a part of, and a really cool way to have fun and meet new people, and something I really enjoy learning about beyond just my major, which is also surrounding similar topics.
Great. And the last question, what is your favorite Vanderbilt tradition?
Okay, well, we are in Music City, so Vanderbilt really embraces that, and we have 2 separate concerts each year that you could just guarantee are going to happen, which is Commodore Quake, which is our homecoming concert, and Rites of Spring. So I'm going to just list off a couple of artists that we've had for both. The other panelists, please chime in with other artists if I forget some. So for Quake, which is, like I said, the homecoming concert, we've had Kendrick Lamar, we've had J. Cole, Ludacris, Azalea. This year is the band Perry, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And Third Eye Blind.
Continue.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I can't even.
Yeah.
I know Smashing Pumpkins has been here.
Yep, exactly. So we have a lot for Quake, and then for Rites of Spring, the list goes on and on. We've had Wiz Khalifa, Jay-Z, Kanye West, Miguel came here. Who else?
Black Eyed Peas were here a bunch of years ago.
Yeah.
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Lady
And
Antebellum.
Yep. So as you see, we get the whole spectrum of artists. I haven't really heard anybody say that their genre of choice hasn't really been represented in any of the concerts that we have here. And the cool thing is that the city actually embraces the concerts that we hold here. So, like, I'll be driving down West End, which is one of the major streets, and then I'll look up and see a billboard for, like, Vanderbilt's Rites of Spring, like, tickets on sale. So it's cool to know that the whole city is kind of excited about these concerts that we have.
I would say my favorite Vanderbilt tradition is something that happens right when you get to campus. I think it's like the second day you're here as a freshman. It's called Founders Walk. This is really exciting. You line up on Commons by house, and you start on Commons and walk through basically the entire campus all the way to Alumni Lawn. It's probably about a 10 to 12 minute walk, maybe. Not if you're walking at Memphis pace, if you're walking faster than Memphis pace. And it's really exciting because every student organization is lined up welcoming you, screaming for you. Some of them throw candy. It's so fun because it's obviously a little overwhelming seeing so many unfamiliar faces, but on the other hand, everyone's so excited to have a new class of freshmen there, and it's really exciting. It gives you the warm fuzzies for sure, and it's also a really good way, too, to kind of start to see what student organizations are there for you to maybe think about joining, because every one of them is lined up. So, you know, you could walk by the group of tour guides that have their banner and be like, whoa, those look like super cool people. I want to be a tour guide someday. So it's a cool way to sort of start to get introduced to all of the student organizations Vanderbilt has.
so one of the other traditions that I really love is called Anchor Dash. So again, building off the first year tradition, it's the first football game of the year, the first home game. The first year class gets to run on the field and open for the football team. So the whole first year class will run across this giant stadium, and everyone's so excited. It's our first game. We get to do it every year as a VSEPTR if you apply to do that. The first year program, but you get to do that the first year, and who else gets to say that that's one of the first things? And it's just so much excitement, so exciting. There's a tailgate just for first years right before, so everyone's together, and then we're kind of led over to the field, and we get to walk on before, or run on really before the football players do. On usually, sometimes usually the first game is broadcast on national television, so it's really exciting because they might show a snippet of us on TV, and we're introducing this amazing football team, so it's exciting.
Yeah, I'd say this is probably not a very good answer to the question asked, but I'd say that we're really developing a tradition of just school spirit here. I think that partially as a result of the fact that some of our sports teams have started doing really well over the past few years, like our baseball team has won the national championship 2 years ago. They went again last year. Our women's tennis team won a national championship last year. And so based on all this excitement around the sports teams here, I think people have started to just develop this kind of Commodore Vanderbilt pride, to the point where if somebody is in the dining hall and hears like, oh, our women's golf team just won their tournament, people will be like, yeah, go Doors, that's awesome. Whereas maybe somewhere else you wouldn't even necessarily care so much about the fact that some random sports team at your school had just won. And I think that goes kind of beyond the realm of sports too. When we look into the public and kind of see some Vanderbilt alumni or graduate has done something cool, even if it's some field that we would never otherwise think about, like molecular biology or like a newsroom or something like that, there's kind of just this feeling of, that's really cool that I'm going to the institution that produces really successful people like that, and kind of breeds that community even past the 4 years that we have here at the school.
All right. Well, thank you, guys. For those of you listening, if you have any further questions, remember, please visit admissions.vanderbilt.edu, contact your counselor, contact a current student. We're here to answer your questions. Before we completely sign off and say goodbye, I was thinking maybe, since this is the discussion about student life and community, that we might anchor down.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Who wants to lead it?
Spirit
Marcy?
team.
Okay, ready? Hands up, people.
Anchor.
All right, thanks, guys.